Hello YouTube, this is Marco. Thanks so much for joining me for another video. Today we're discussing the best watch collections under or in and around that $10,000 price point. I'll be giving you about 10 different variations. So let's roll the intro and jump straight into it. Alrighty, so I do want to get through these rather quickly because this is going to take a little bit of a while. So first and foremost, I wanted to build a collection that was extremely versatile. So focusing on maximum versatility. The first watch I have is the Grand Seiko SPGM 221. It's a watch that's extremely robust, and so it could really be worn in any situation because it is also, somewhat elegant and can be worn a little bit more formally. It's got that GMT complication, which is important within this collection. It does give you that GMT complication, which I think is necessary in any collection. So it could be your de facto kind of travel watch. And it's right around that $3,700 price point, which I feel is a very, very fair price for the watch. Next is the Omega Globemaster. I feel this is one of the most overlooked by Omega. It's a Genta watch, right? Obviously the constellation being a Genta design. It's got that gorgeous pie pan dial. And for around $4,700 on Chrono 24, obviously we're talking pre-owned prices. Especially with that blue dial, I think it's absolutely a stunner and one that's really overlooked, especially because it has that tungsten bezel, which is very durable, but also kind of dresses up the watch a little bit. So again, a watch that is very versatile, can be worn in any situation, dressed up, dressed down, kind of more formal, much more casually as well. Put it on a strap, put it on the bracelet, it'll look great anywhere. And last but not least is the Longines Legend Diver. I feel this collection needed a dive watch. And again, this kind of watch is, very versatile. If you put this on a leather strap, it could easily pass off as a dress watch. A very vintage it kind of evokes vintage vibes for sure. It is obviously designed based on a vintage watch. So really love this piece. I think this is a great 3-watch collection if you're looking for something that's super versatile, something that's great for any occasion, any situation. And yeah, these are the first 3 watches. So moving on to the second one is the Dress Focused collection. This is for somebody who, typically wears a very formal attire for work every day, or who potentially just likes dress watches. And so you will focus on that one kind of knockout piece. And for me, I really don't know of any better value watch than the JLC Reverso Grand Calendar. This one is, in my opinion, as good as it gets. You get a Reverso case in steel, which is super practical and usable for every day. A triple calendar complication with a moon phase, which ultimately, super complicated watch. You get the movement actually on the backside, which I think is awesome to see. A beautiful movement from Jaeger LeCoultre. And you get that right around for $7,500 if, of course, you contact JJSW. But you can also find them in and around that price on Chrono 24. I feel it's a very fair price. You're getting a huge amount of watch for the money. So I definitely would recommend it. I love this Longines black sector dial. Again, it'll be a perfect comparison with that Reverso in that it's much more subtle, much more muted, not complicated. It's time only, just kind of a wind and wear type of watch, dress watch, obviously, but that you can also wear a little bit more casually. And then to round off the collection, I feel you obviously need a sports watch, something to get stuff done with, something that you're not afraid to kind of beat around on weekends and what have you. And for me, that's the Tissot PRX Powermatic 80 for about $800. I don't think you can do much better. Blue dial, so it adds another dial variation. 100 meters water resistant. It's got an 80-hour power reserve, which is super practical for everyday kind of use. So yeah, I think this is a wonderful 3-watch collection, dress focused on the theme, and of course that stunner being the JLC Reverso Grand Calendar. Next is a Chronograph Focused collection. So this is for the chronograph enthusiast, the person who really enjoys the style. Personally, I'm becoming more and more attracted to chronographs. I think they're a really gorgeous design if they get it right. So starting from left to right, the Longines Heritage Chronograph. For me, this is a great, not only chronograph, but can also be used as a dress watch. Just a gorgeous design. That kind of tuxedo dial, if you will, is just spectacular in my personal opinion. You could get it in and around that $2,500 price point on the pre-owned market. So I think it's a super great value for money watch, especially considering you're getting an ETA-based movement. So, something that's very easy to service and very reliable. So great watch overall. Next is the IWC Pilot Chronograph 41. This is another daily wear in steel. Obviously, IWC has tremendous pilot watch history. I think this is, as good as it gets in terms of design from a pilot chronograph. I will admit, I feel this is a little bit of a thick watch. It does wear on the thicker side. I think it's like 14 millimeters. But I think you're still getting such a huge amount of watch for the money that it's a no-brainer, especially if you're going to build a chronograph focused collection. And I think having some kind of pilot watch chronograph, if not, for example, the IWC Pilot 41, maybe replace it with a Breguet Type 20. I'd want something that has that kind of military or that very fieldy type of aesthetic that is reminiscent of those kind of military tool watch type of chronographs that this IWC design is very much focused on. So that's my second pick. And then to round off the collection, again, I wanted a GMT. I wanted something that's a little bit rugged, durable. Since the first two only came on leather, because obviously I'm trying to save money with respect to the IWC, I actually went with the Tag Heuer Formula One GMT. This one has obviously those Batman colors. It's great because you get a rugged, durable watch with a GMT complication right around that $1,300 price point, which I think is tremendous value for money. Really, really tremendous. So this is my chronograph focused collection. Next would be the tool watch. So when I say a tool watch, it's kind of watches that are built for a purpose, either, whatever that purpose might be, whether it's dive watch, whether it's a field watch, whether it's a military watch, et cetera, et cetera. So from left to right, we're talking about the Tudor Black Bay 58 to begin the list. I think this is a gorgeous watch. I would get it personally in the blue dial, again, just to add a little bit of dial and color variation to the collection. The Tudor Black Bay 58, I think, is a very purpose-driven watch, very much a dive watch. Has that vintage charm and aesthetic, especially with those kind of faux rivet in the bracelet. So I really love this watch. I think it definitely should be in a tool watch collection. I think the Omega Railmaster is one that collectors tend to definitely overlook, especially because it has tremendous daily wear usage. I think that Railroad Minitrack is gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning dial with that kind of brush pattern. I love it. I like the crosshair on the actual dial, the 12369, almost Explorer type dial. And for $4,200, I really don't think you can get a better watch for the money. It's super anti-magnetic. It was obviously built for a purpose, built for people who worked on the rails where magnetic fields were huge. And so I think the Railmaster is just a wonderful watch, honestly, and would be perfect in this collection. And then to round off the collection, I felt that we needed a chronograph, and my chronograph of choice would actually be the Zinn 103. In this chronograph, you get a lot, or in this watch rather, you get a lot of value for money. So we're talking about a day-date complication with a chronograph. We're talking 200-meter water resistance. I mean, plus you have that super kind of rugged, durable movement that they use, and of course that countdown bezel, which I think is super useful. You put it on bracelet, or you can put it on strap along with all the other watches in this list. I mean, this is a really, really good tool watch. Very, very kind of macho type collection. Somebody who wants watches that are built for a purpose. So yeah, I think this fits the bill perfectly with respect to these three watches. Next would be a Dlver Focused collection. So obviously somebody who who likes the dive watch mostly. Again, I think you'll see the Tudor Black Bay 58 is again on this list because it's just such a great watch. I think the size is perfect, right around that 38, 39 millimeter case size. I like the no-date dial, which is just awesome. Love the symmetry of the watch. The gilt accents in the black, I feel, are much better in this collection because, again, I want dial diversity. And overall, I just don't think you can beat it for the price. Next would be the Omega Seamaster. I think, again, this is kind of a no-brainer. You might want to go for the Heritage, although that costs a little bit more money than the Seamaster Professional 300 model. I like the Polar dial personally. Again, you get more dial variation. I just think it looks the coolest out of any of them. By far, really. I don't think it's really close. And again, I think it's a super rugged, durable watch. I don't really have to go into this watch very much. It's super iconic. So last to round off the collection would be the Lachine Hydra Conquest. I actually got it on rubber. I think it would be nice to have a watch on rubber as opposed to on a bracelet. It's a good weekend watch. You can have your Tudor and your Omega for daily use in the weekday, and then the Lachine on the weekend. I like the fact that it's blue. Again, adds a little bit of color to the collection. Lachine, I think, really knocked it out of the park with this watch. I think it's a gorgeous piece. So yeah, this is your Dlver Focused collection. Next is the GMT Focused collection. So this is for the person, who kind of travels a lot for work, who might need a GMT complication for every day because they work with people a lot overseas. And so they want to keep track of multiple time zones. And so I think first and foremost, the Grand Seiko SBGM 221. Again, for the reasons I stated before, it's kind of a really good, durable, rugged tool watch. But at the same time, it is very, a little bit more on the formal side, which is great because you get that versatility from it. And at that $3,700 price point, I don't think you can beat it. Around the same price point, you can get the Tudor Black Bay GMT, which again, I think is a great watch for the money. I love that kind of Pepsi style bezel, the vintage aesthetic of it. I will admit it is a little bit big and a little bit thick in my personal opinion, but if you're okay with that, I think it's a great watch overall. And to round out the collection, I would go with the Oris Aquis GMT. I would get it with kind of a blue dial, again, just for more dial variation, but I think this is a phenomenal design from Oris. The Aquis is a super, super great watch. I love it. I'm really coming around to the Oris Aquis. And I think value for money, again, if you get this pre-owned all day, every day, I think it's definitely worth the money at around that $2,400 price point. So yeah, that's my GMT Focused collection. I think you get great versatility for somebody who's, always on the go or needs to keep track of multiple time zones. So this is the GMT Focused collection. Next is for somebody with a kind of bigger wrist. It would make sense to have these kind of watches because ultimately they can't really wear small watches. So starting from left to right is the Tudor Black Bay Chronograph. I really love this watch. Obviously that panda dial. It's a little bit too big for me, unfortunately, but the aesthetic of the watch is gorgeous. For $6,500, it is a little bit expensive, rather, but I still think it's pretty worth it, especially considering you're getting a wonderful watch from Tudor, timeless type of design. I think this is a gorgeous piece that is super nice. So $6,500, not cheap, but definitely worth the money. I would say the Oris Aquis GMT, although I will say it is a lugless case, so I think a smaller wrist can pull it off, but it is 43 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken, the case itself. But yeah, I would get the GMT just to add another complication to it, to the collection. Blue dial just for another dial variation. I think this is a great watch. Again, great value for money. And then the Lachine Legend Dlver. This is about 42 millimeters. Lug to lug is about 51, 52 millimeters. So definitely wears for the bigger wrist. And again, you add a dive watch to the collection, something that's kind of vintage inspired. You put this on a leather strap, you can easily wear it as a dress watch, in my personal opinion. I think it's a gorgeous, super versatile piece, very vintage inspired, and I absolutely love it. So moving on to the small wristed collection. So for this one, this is obviously for somebody who has a smaller wrist. Their taste lean towards smaller watches. And so from left to right, we got first and foremost the Zenith El Primero. This is the A384 with the panded style dial. I love this watch personally. I love the A384 case. I know it's very eclectic. It's not to everybody's taste, but I just don't think that there's really anything else like it on the market. So kudos to Zenith on this design. I really, really do love it. And I think on a leather strap, it's great. I don't like the bracelet at all. It's very cheap, very, very bad construction. So I would definitely recommend getting it on the leather strap. Again, pre-owned, you can get it for about $5,500. So I think it's tremendous value for money. Next is the Tudor Black Bay 58. No surprise there. I don't think that there's a better diver for the money, to be honest with you. You get that vintage aesthetic. You get it in a smaller case size. You get a rugged, durable tool watch from Tudor in a kind of timeless design. I think this is just a gorgeous design that will age super gracefully. And lastly, to round off the collection is the Longines Sector Dial. Again, just another very easy to wear watch. No date, just wind and wear type of watch. I love that sector style dial with the crosshair in the middle. I think it's a gorgeous piece. Can be worn more formally, more casually. Dress it up, dress it down. Super versatile watch. So love that piece. And so the second to last one is a vintage theme collection. This is for somebody who likes watches that kind of evoke a vintage style and aesthetic to them, which I personally really like. I love this collection. I think this is a wonderful three-piece combo. So starting from left to right is the Omega Seamaster 1948. This is, again, another watch from Omega. I think they really knocked it out of the park. The only problem is that display case back that does have that ugly picture of a boat and an airplane. I think it's terrible, but still love the watch overall. And I think at $5,500, you're getting a tremendous amount of value for money. 38 millimeter case, so it does wear a little bit smaller. I love, again, that 12, 3, 6, and 9, almost Explorer type dial. I think it's just a gorgeous watch. Next is the Tissot Heritage 1948. I think that twisted lug case, the vintage Tissot font, that layout of that dial, there's no question that it definitely has a vintage aesthetic. It's based on a vintage watch, so that only makes sense. And for $1,500, I really don't know if there's anything that can beat it, especially in this category, this idea of a vintage themed watch. So I think this makes a wonderful addition to the collection, adds a chronograph complication. And then we round it out with, of course, the Tudor Black Bay 58. Again, I don't think that there is a watch that can really compete with it at the price point. Great vintage aesthetic. The gilt accents, the gilt indices, I think everything just looks great on this watch. So that's the three-piece there. And then to finalize these kind of three-piece collection is what I would personally pick. So my personal picks from left to right are the Lachine Heritage Chronograph. You get this right around the $2,500 price point, tuxedo style dial with a chronograph function. I think it's a gorgeous piece, super versatile, super nice as well. So yeah, definitely an amazing watch from Lachine. Next is the Tudor Black Bay 58. Again, I love the vintage style aesthetic. I think it's a great, rugged, durable watch. You want to watch on a bracelet. It's the only one in this collection that has the bracelet. So I think you definitely need that. And if you're going to get something, I would definitely recommend something from either Rolex or Tudor. I think those are by far the best. So Tudor Black Bay 58 at this point is pretty self-explanatory. And then I feel every collection needs a GMT. And so for me, the Grand Seiko SB GM221, again, in that $3,700 price point, I don't think that there is a better GMT on the market. You get insane crisp finishing. You get a beautiful, kind of ivory style dial, GMT complication, gorgeous dial, gorgeous design, rugged and durable enough to wear, kind of more casually, more sporty, but also very formal and elegant. So you can definitely be pulled off in more formal settings. So yeah, those are the picks. Guys, I kind of ran through these, but this is a very long video, so I hope you understand. But I think all of these make for tremendous collections that anybody can go for. And yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this style video. If you did, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really, really appreciate it. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.